that new business or not? Is anybody involved romantically and going to drop their boyfriend tomorrow? Our life is constantly challenged by decisions. We all have to make decisions, big decisions, small decisions. How good are we at making those decisions? Do we have a method? Do we have a system, a process that allows us to be successful and achieve the results we expect to achieve when we make a decision? Well, there are some obstacles in the way. There are, in fact, 4 villains that will get in the way of achieving good decisions. The first one is narrow framing. What do I mean by narrow framing? I do this or I do that. Very narrow. We look at just one area. Okay, I'm going to drop my boyfriend, or I'm not going to drop my boyfriend. Okay? Narrow framing is typical of teenagers. Okay? Kids in their teenager, but you know it's not only for teenagers. Okay? A gentleman called Smithberg, who was the CEO of Quaker, tasted Gatorade, loved it, and decided to buy the company. So he paid $220 million for Gatorade, and he built it up to a $3 billion business. Great success. Okay? A hunch, nobody objected. His board was behind him. His direct reports backed him up. Much later in his career, Smithberg drank some Snapple, and he loved it. And he thought he was going to repeat his experience with Gatorade. And so, of course, nobody objected because he had such a good record behind him, right? And so he went on and bought Gatorade. He paid $1.8 billion for it. And 3 years later, he sold it back for $300 million. Okay. Very narrow focus. Okay. It was, I buy it or I don't buy it. Okay. KPMG had a study that 83% of mergers do not boost shareholder value. 83%. Now these are big decisions. But what about our small decisions? Taking that job, leaving that job, starting this new venture in the business, developing that area of the business. These are all choices we need to make. Do we have a system? Okay. The second villain here is confirmation bias. What's the confirmation bias? Well, when I make a decision, I look for everything that confirms the decision. And I ignore what could put that decision in jeopardy. We all do it. It's almost automatic. In the 60s, when we didn't know much about smoking and the dangers of smoking, when smokers were looking for information, they never looked for the information that told them that tobacco was going to kill them. They were always looking for the information that told them that tobacco was just fine. Okay? That's a treacherous example, but we all do it. We tend to look for the information that confirms what we have, the choice we have already made. The third one is short-term emotion. You know who's good at playing on those short-term emotion? Have you ever gone to buy a car? Okay. Car salesmen are perfect because they don't want you to think. They want to get your emotions risen. Okay, and then you don't know what you're doing. Okay, because you lose the perspective, right? So short-term emotion is the third villain. Okay, the last one is overconfidence. Overconfidence. Epstein, you remember Epstein, the manager of the Beatles, okay?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Right, okay. Went to Decca, which at the time was a big record label, okay? Telling them, I've got those 4 guys, they are fantastic, they're gonna bring you a lot of money, they are very successful, they did a great job in Hamburg, they are now in Liverpool, they are really great. And the headhunter at Decca was full of himself, said, 4 guys in a group, that doesn't work anymore, that's passé, forget it. Okay. And he let the Beatles go by. Okay. Again, he was so overconfident about his own perspective, he didn't take the time to look further into it. So these are our 4 villains when it comes to decision making. How can we beat those villains? What can we do about it to counteract those villains? Okay? You can analyze, you can spend a lot of time analyzing. Okay? Is that really the most effective way? The most effective way to improve the quality of your decision making is to have a process, to go on a step-by-step process. That process is called RAP. Obviously an acronym. So RAP, W, widen your perspective. Do not focus on either or. Should I leave or should I go? Well, are there any other options? Can we analyze the options? Should I leave my job or should I stay on my job? Well, can I maybe get some additional training? Or can I go and explore and take a trip and explore some other possibilities? I mean, it's not an either or. Every time we have an either or perspective, we are narrowing our issues. So widen, think about just like a torch, or a flashlight. You're just seeing a very, very small area. Open up the area. See what are the other options. So widening your widen your option is the first one. Yeah, one company, Lexicon. Okay, Lexicon does brand research and brand names. Okay. How do they go about it? They never go to either or. Okay. They do multi-tracking. So they have people all over the world. They've got a client coming to them and said, okay, these are the guys that came up with Pentium, that came up with Swiffer, that came up with all kind of brand names that were really out there. Okay, and how did they do it? By doing multi-tracking. So when you are looking to make a decision, do multi-tracking. Send in different directions and try to figure out what is it that we are trying to achieve here. Okay. Another way to widen your options: find somebody that has already solved your problem. In my corporate world, I do a lot of that. You are in a work environment. You've got a specific problem. Do you think that you are the only person that has ever had that problem? No. Somebody else out there has already solved your problem. It might be within your work group. It might be within your department. It might be within your site, or it might be somewhere online. But whatever problem you have, certainly somebody already has solved it. Whatever question you have, certainly somebody already has answered it. So again, widen your horizon. Okay. R, for reality test your assumptions. Do a reality test. Do not be afraid of criticism or negative feedback. In the corporate world, where I spend a lot of my time, there are a lot of yes men. Okay? And I mean, the story of Snapple. Okay? If our friend at Snapple had people around him who told him, well, look, maybe Snapple is not exactly like Gatorade, and maybe we need to dig a little deeper, he would not have lost that $1 billion. Okay, so again, double check your own assumption. Don't be afraid of reality checks. Okay? Go and look for contrary opinions all the time. Okay, zoom out and zoom in. Okay? Constantly out and in. Okay. Kahneman was in the process of developing a new curriculum. Now, when you develop a new curriculum, how long does that take? For maybe Jim, you can tell me that. How long does it take to develop a new curriculum in the college environment?
For what I do, it's 4 hours of development for every hour of delivery.
Okay, but if you think about a yearly program, okay, they had there was the guy who was the head of curriculum development. There was Kahneman who was on that, and they said, okay, probably we can do it in a year and a half. Okay. And then they went to look at the record, and the record indicated that it took people 5 to 7 years to develop a full curriculum for a college course. Okay. And of that, and 40% of those curriculums were abandoned in mid-course. So they said, well, how is it going to take us 1 to 1.5 years if it takes others? You know, and they had to reassess the numbers, and in fact, it took them 5 years to do the job. Okay? So again, put your own assumptions on a test. Okay? Do not take everything, your first emotion, and go with it. Okay. Attain distance. Take some distance. You have a decision to be made, don't jump into it. Okay. One thing I work on with some of our clients is the 10-10-10 rule. You want to make a decision, you want to go into a new venture, you want to enter into a new relationship, you want to, whatever the choice is, whatever it is that you're getting into, how will it feel? You're going to take that new job? How is it going to feel in 10 minutes? How is it going to feel in 10 days? How is it going to feel in 10 months? And go through that mental exercise. Now, it could be also 10 days, 10 weeks, and 10 months, or 10 days, 10 months, and 10 years, okay? Depending what kind of decision you're making. But look at that decision within different time frame, and how are you going to feel about that decision within those various time frames, taking a certain distance, okay? So, attaining distance, right? And then, the last one, prepare to be wrong. When we go through a project, we always do a postmortem, right? I mean, I think we've all gone through that. I mean, you go through something and then at the end you do a postmortem. Do a pre-mortem. Before you go into the decision, imagine the work that can happen. Okay. What are the various possibilities we have to fail after making that choice? And preparing you in that manner allows you to also assume any difficulties in the process much better. The Navy SEALs, okay, are well known for that. The Navy SEAls